So I'm going to have you put yourself on mute, just for recording's sake and background noise. We are getting pretty good, I think, at these Zoom calls. So I'm going to I always say, during these times, I think it's more important than ever before that we set intentional space for what it is we're about. Energy just knows no boundaries unless you put them in place. So all the disruptions, the fear, the angst, whatever that's coming and being generated from wherever it's being generated, and there's many places on the planet where it is, we want to be in a secured space so that we don't have those clouds flowing through us. And I'm going to look at this. I think this might be someone who needs to come in. So if you don't mind, I'll put myself on mute, pause recording, and see what this is. Sidekicks for that. And besides, now we just have a new one coming in. Hello, you're at 703. Could you tell me your name so I could put your name here in our circle, and then.
Hi, this is Suzanne.
Hello, Suzanne. This is Sharon.
Hi, everyone.
And what we're just doing is we are presencing ourselves into the circle by just your name, where you are on the planet, and what would you like to add to the field of this of what we're creating here. So Suzanne.
Harmony.
Harmony. And where are you on the planet, Suzanne?
I'm in Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Very good. Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you.
So it was in 1989 that I wanted to make a difference in my clients' lives. And I was doing crystal chakra balancing. I was using gemstones. I was using the language of crystals. I was doing hands-on energy, and it was very powerful. And I was using affirmations. It was a beginning of my journey. And I felt like I wasn't able to move my clients, my friends, fast enough from their place of pain to their place of stability so they could just really do their dream. So that was in 89. And so I had been working with a team of off-planet, I call them the team, the ancient ones. I'd been working with that group since 71. So I'd been working with them for 18 years in raising my children. I didn't use it for psychic readings, clairvoyancy, healing, or anything like that. But I had a very solid track record with their wisdom. And so now that I was opening up to say, how can I help others as well as myself? Because I certainly was at the beginning of my healing space. I felt like we needed to not do the onion layer, which was what everyone was talking about, that there's something at the core of the onion, and I wanted to get to the core, to the cause, and remove the cause so that the onion could then quickly dissipate. So when you talk about dismantle patriarchy, the core, what's the cause? And I said to my team, take me to a place, to a teacher that can teach me that type of process. And they said, it's not being done on the planet. No one is going to cause. They're doing onion layer, which is symptoms. So if you want to do go to the cause, we will have to teach you what has been forgotten and hidden from humanity for a very long time. And so I very naively said, of course, that's what I want to do. And so that became my journey, working directly with teams off planet, keeping a journal, asking them questions, working with clients. And as questions came up in working with clients, more and more and more and more information came. So I'm going to stop there in that story and welcome Jane. Jane, we have just presenced ourselves into the circle. So I'd love to have you do that. And then I'll get on with my story. So if you'd like to unmute and just, your name, where you are on the planet, and then a word that you'd like to add to the field that we've built here.
I'm Jane Norton, and I live in Durham, North Carolina. And my friend Alex invited me to this call. This is my first time.
Thank
So,
you.
thank you.
There's a lot of first timers here, Jane, so you're in good company.
Thank you.
And so one of the first things they showed me, they said you have to understand that that humanity, the souls in physical bodysuits, have traveled through many, many, many worlds. They called them worlds in the galactic region before there was a decision to create this world or be on this world we call Earth. So you're dealing with Earth as it is, most are dealing with Earth as if it's the only place besides heaven, when indeed there are 8 worlds, and in those other worlds is where cause is. What has happened in those other worlds has to be eliminated, or you will never be free on the earth. Basically, it took me like a year or more to understand that. So said, okay, I get it. So in a nutshell, what they explained to me is that in those galactic worlds, we as souls in our own home, what we might call source, decided on an agenda. I call it a divine family agenda, an original agenda, where we wanted to kind of extend from our home of all that's possible to experience something a little bit more directly and more focused. So some coalesced around the idea of what would joy look like? What would all the aspects of joy be like? What would all the aspects of that inner knowing be like? And in those worlds, we wouldn't have used those words. We would have used numbers and colors and rhythms and songs. So I'm using words as it relates to Earth. And what has been hidden from those on the planet is that there were other families who chose to have agendas and use other people's energy, use other people's work to benefit from what other people create, what we would call parasitic agendas. They exist amongst you. And because that has been hidden from you, and their intention is to keep you crippled, that crippling has been in place from those galactic worlds right on down into this earth life. How that relates to where we are today is we live in cultures of systemic domination. The agendas of those which have been hidden, but yet have influenced minds, have influenced thoughts, have influenced behaviors, all kind of like behind the scene puppeteers, while we have been told and believed that we, humanity, are the cancer. So we point fingers at each other and say, you're the problem, you're the problem, you're the problem, you're the problem, while the puppeteers are those whose agenda is to keep us divided, to keep us crippled, stay in the background, and yet they are cause. So here we are in our world today, on a planet in which the law of manifestation says that unseen forces, unseen patterns will eventually manifest in the physical, so that those agendas cannot be hidden anymore, because we, meaning the divine families, decreed we had to finally know of them and identify them and have them removed back to their home of origin. So it's like in the galactic worlds, let's say I'm in Africa and I see a lovely little baby elephant. It's so cute. And I want to bring that elephant back with me to Would-Be Island. So in the galactic worlds, those outsiders presented themselves like lovely little baby elephants. And some of our family members invited them into our island, into our space. So I bring this elephant back to Would-Be Island with me. And I say, look at this beautiful elephant. And all of a sudden, the elephant grows to become what it is, an elephant. Big, huge, lovely, but I can't have a garden. The doors of my house keep getting broken down. The elephant wants to sleep on my bed with me. You see, the elephant is what it is. Not good and not bad, but an elephant. It is in the wrong place. It's much better for that elephant and for me if that elephant were taken back to its original home so that it could be free to be what it chooses to be. And that is the same with these outsider. They are beings. Most of them are influencing bodies. Some of them sometimes move into a body and out of a body, but they are in the wrong place. As long as they stay in our world, they will continue, because of their parasitic nature, to diminish our life. It's their nature. Now, here's what is key. Another key is that the souls in female bodies were given the assignment and responsibility, Vajra, to have the sensitivity in the belly to feel the vibrations of those elephants, to be able to say, oh, here comes an elephant, and call to those prepared to make the move. And I call them the PTO, call to those in our unseen worlds, our connections, to say, there's an energy here that doesn't belong. It feels out of sync. It feels off. And so there's some elephant or outsider energy in it. And the outsider energy must be identified and taken back to its home of origin. That is a major mission and assignment for those in female bodysuits. Therefore, as soon as the outsiders understood that, they targeted women. They told us our sensitivity made us emotional beings, not to be trusted. Certainly our sensitivity wasn't to be trusted. We were targeted, we were burned at the stakes, we were made to be small, they diminished us, they ripped us away from that ability and told us it wasn't ours and it wasn't worth having, and we believed it. No, you're not sensing something that's not okay. And we believed it. And that is being returned to our planet in today. That our very safeguard to be able to say something feels off. I don't need to know what it is. It doesn't have to be in my face, but it feels off. PTO, something's off in this situation. I turn it over to you. I turn it over to you. Deep 6, which says go through the energy fields. Anything that's in the field that is from outsider agenda energy, neutralize it. Move it back to its home of origin. So that's the model I have been using and functioning under with myself and my clients for like 10 plus years. It's extremely powerful. And in today's world, I propose that to you, that what we are seeing is all aspects, many, many different aspects of the agendas to dominate and use others. Whether it's lies through the media, whether it's separating children at the border, whether it is health care that is not given, lies, everything turned backward. We live in systemic domination. And the most recently, what we're calling it most recently, is racism, patriarchy, but it's way beyond that. So I'm going to open the floor and see what that might bring up for you. And so a minute, if you have a question or if you have a comment, a minute so that we can keep moving, because I want to give you an experience and a practical process. So floor is open just notice anybody else. If they're not speaking, open up your mic and go for it.
Well, I'll go. It's Cinda. I have heard Sharon's story and her version of this many, 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 many times, and I am continually awed by it and empowered by it, and I am most certainly grateful for it. So thank you, Sharon. This is such amazing work and gives us tools, needed and necessary tools. So I'm eager to see what comes next. Thank you. Sharon, you're muted, Sharon, you're muted.
So what I want each of you to do is think of a situation that really may have you, I was going to say, by the balls. You know, is there a situation that just is hurting your heart, that's either in your family, in your own life, or in the country? And as soon as you have something like that in mind, I want you to just raise your hand, and you on the phone can just tap your phone and I'll see that'll come up. Okay. Okay. One of the most powerful tools that we have, especially as women, is our power to create inwardly. We call it imagination. There is other words we could use, but we'll say imagination. Powerful creative tool, powerful healing tool. So I want you to close your eyes and get a sense of that form, whatever it is, and put it there in front of you. And I'll kind of go slow, so I'm hoping we can go this together. And when you get that sense of that form in front of you, sense the feeling you are either feeling from it or that is sending to you. What is the sense, the feeling involved with that form? If you have a journal, you could make a note of it. Once you have that, just kind of freeze frame the form so it's just frozen in time. And then I want you to look behind the form. In your imagination, go behind the form, and what do you see or sense or feel behind the form? And when you get that sense, again, if you have a notebook, write it down. What is behind the form? The energy behind the form has to answer you correctly. So ask it 3 times to the energy behind the form, are you of the light? And hear yes or no, wishy-washy or no answer. Number 2, are you of the light? Third time, are you of the light? If you hear no, If you feel here wishy-washy, or if you have no answer, this is an energy, a puppeteer that is influencing and creating that form. It is not of the light. It is not acceptable on our planet. The rule is it cannot be here any longer. And I'm going to stand with you in this circle and say, PTO, identify this form and all of its tentacles, neutralize it, and any energy that is from outsider agendas, I want it moved back to its home of origin. Not acceptable, deep 6. Just hold the space. It's not about a fight. It's about, if you want to say it this way, it's about looking in the eyes of the monster and just holding the look. Not acceptable, deep 6. Not acceptable. And when you feel the energy shift and calm, bring your awareness back to the circle. Just bring your awareness back to the circle. And I'm just going to have maybe 2 or 3 of you share what you experienced. What was your experience in that exercise? So if there was someone who'd like to share, unmute yourself and pop in. And that would be like, what was the form? How did it feel? What happened? What did you see behind it? That kind of a feedback. Cinda?
So I felt into what I pulled forward and what I was looking at and what I was feeling, and I felt this like a gagging in my throat, and then a sick to my stomach, and then I looked behind it and beyond it, and I could literally see the puppeteers, and they were working like on computers, and that was fascinating to me. And so then I asked, are you of the light? And I instantly heard, no, no. And that was hysterical, sort of, until I said, well, guess what you have coming for you? And I said, called in the PTO, identified the form, and asked them to remove that and all the tentacles, neutralize, and move back to its state of origin. And it left, and then all of a sudden it's just like the clarity, the cleanliness, the clearing was there.
Thank you, Cinda. Anyone else want to share your experience, what that was like for you? Deborah.
I was visualizing a person, and behind the person was a tall, like a black outline that was filled in with, black energy, but it was very tall, sort of humanoidish, but tall behind it. And I saw the team go in, and it was like wrapped it in a wrapping and bag and took it away. Just went.
Good.
Thank you.
When I was beginning to get some of this information, I didn't know why it was important to know that of this particular type of energy, because we were at that time working on love, fear, duality, don't do, don't do duality, but do love or fear and feed the love. But when I checked that concept out with the ancient ones, my teachers at the time, who remain with me now, they said, you have to understand that love, white light, violet flame, purple flame, pink flame, will take energy that is the family's energy, the light family's energy that's out of balance, and bring it back into balance. But these outsiders are not out of balance. They are what they are, and they are not out of balance. So love, violet flame, purple flame, those do not have impact on the outsiders, because it's not who they are, what they are. They are doing what they said they would do. And so that's why we needed to understand that there were those with the abilities to answer a female's voice and come in and simply say, oh, I see, wrong place, back to your home of origin. It's a separate model. It moves them back to their home of origin. So here we are. I'm going to use our political situations. And it doesn't really matter where you are on that spectrum. It really doesn't, because outsiders are everywhere. And if they can use the Republican problems as the tar baby, as the thing that's going to trap you, they will. If they use the Democratic problems to trap you, they will. And for us to try and figure it out and sort it out, we don't have the capacity. We are not that fine-tuned that we can identify those very, very subtle frequencies. All we need to know is that something isn't okay. Something's off. And in some cases, we see the end result. It's manifested, so there's an end result. So we know something's off because it isn't. The divine family's agendas will always result in greater stability, thriving, benefit for all life, unity, compatibility, respect, kindness. That will always be the result of light. Any of those aspects. So if the result is anything other than that, it is outsider energy. And so when you see, let's say a political situation that just grabs you and it won't let go and you don't know what to do, you're stuck in a tar baby to take you offline. To take you offline. So what do? Notice where you are totally engulfed with this panic, like Cindy was talking, in the throat, or it might be all over. Just you feel like, oh my gosh, and it consumes you. Maybe be a word, or to some degree consumes you. That is a perfect time to say, stop, wait a minute. This consumption is taking me offline. I am already encased in the tar baby. So stop, let that be in front of you, and look behind the situation that's got you wrapped up. What is behind the situation? And you'll see every time. There's the darkness, there is puppeteers, there is the computer, there's things that, whatever the symbols come to you, that will say, these are puppeteers and you are being played. What do? As soon as you feel any sense of reaction, this is off, or, oh, I can't cut myself free, then that's the time to say, whoa, wait a minute. I recognize that energy. I recognize that PTO, I don't know what it is, but it's here. And I say, turning it over to you, identify, neutralize, remove. Deep 6 is enough. Hey, outsiders, something has me encased. Something is off here. I turn it over to you, deep 6. And that gives them permission to go in and clear. Marjorie?
So there's a couple of phrases I'm not familiar with, PTO and Deep Six.
Yes, thank you, Marjorie. There was a team, a group that came to me from in mid 90s that said, we have, because I do meditation sometimes, as you know, people, many of you do the same thing, and sometimes there'll be a group that shows up. This group showed up and says, we have the ability to identify, and at the time I wasn't calling them outsiders, but they were outsiders. We have the ability to identify frequencies from those agendas, because our family, contrary to yours, has kept themselves very clear, very awake, good boundaries, because we know their voice, their identity so well. Now, if you would like, we will come into your space, into your worlds, to help you by identifying them, because you've lost that ability. We've retained it. Would you like us to help you? And so I put, with my team, we put them together with a group that I call the Plutonian energy, that can contain space, so that everybody doesn't scatter away. Contain space, healers that can heal and restore what's been damaged, and then this other group that can identify. So those three components are what is called PTO team. PTO is not an acronym, it's just a name. So when you say PTO team, it's an extensive group. Then that there are calls to them for you, and they'll be immediately there. Okay. And Deep Six is just a word to activate a very extensive command that basically says to them, contain the space, identify the energy, neutralize anything that's outside, or bring in the tentacles, and move it all back to its home of origin. So instead of saying all of that, and heal what scars, instead of saying all of that, you just can say Deep Six, and that activates it. They know exactly what to do. Okay. Any other questions?
Why Deep Six? I mean,
Because I
why
like.
deep?
Because I like. Just the same with PTO, Vajrama. I just liked it,
Oh,
and I found out.
okay.
I found out later that
Okay.
I found out later it's really a nautical term, but I don't use it as a nautical term. I just liked how it sounded, and I started using it with some of the younger people that I was working with, and they loved it because they could just say Deep Six, and they loved it, and so that's why
Well, I thought it meant a grave. I thought it meant go to the grave.
Ah,
6 feet under. But
and
thanks
in
for asking, Marjorie.
actuality, it just activates that entire process, so you don't have to remember it. So that is a process. Play with it, use it. I don't think there's anything more powerful right now as far as what to do when you feel like you cannot, like an addiction. Some people are feeling almost like an addiction. They can't cut themselves free. Hey, you've been caught in the tar, baby. It does no one any good for you to be addicted, and I can't cut myself free of a situation, whether it's political or family. What's behind it is what's being called to be healed. So the other thing is that as we move now toward election time, what is the outcome we want? A lot of people have just been, doing a lot of building new, et cetera, which is good. But I think it's really important that what is the outcome we want? And I've written some statements. I'm going to put them in chat. You can copy and paste if you'd like, and you can use them. I use what I call the reality shift process, and I think I have everyone's emails as you registered, so I can send you that help with a reality shift process. It would be like this. I'm going to take the one. The U.S. stands as a model of women leaders in clarity, wisdom, and creative power to remove, dismantle, and recreate a world from the values they hold for those they love. That's like an affirmation. I call it a reality statement. So I'm going to ask you to just be with me through this reality shift. So here it is, the statement. The United States stands as a model of women leaders in clarity, wisdom, and creative power to remove, dismantle, and then recreate a world from the values they hold for those they love. Statement. Now the steps. Call in our teams, because now we're calling in our teams of design and from the unknown, and they're there. They've been with us from birth and before. Move my consciousness, energy fields, into that reality along with all those to whom I'm connected in love, which is everybody really of our divine families. Move our consciousness into that reality and experience. Deep six, anything that would, has, or has or would keep us from that experience. I call in my divine design team to create a new program that expresses this reality in its highest form for me. Download those codes into my energy fields, down to my first dimensional field, and anchor it in the fifth dimension where my life plans are held. I design, I claim, I anchor and activate this vibrational pattern and reality for myself and all to whom I'm connected in love. So my suggestion is, in the hour we have together, is that you understand this process, what's behind puppeteers. That's where we got to go, and elected officials cannot change it for us. It's spiritually created, it's spiritually uncreated and removed. Holding the vision of where we want to be, and holding that right on through the election with the reality shift, which can bring everybody into that. So is there anything that you want to ask or say before we close the end of the hour? Cinda?
Well, I also think it's important that, you took us through an exercise where we're judging something that's outside of us that has us feel a certain way, and then we ask the thing behind it if it's of the light. But there's been times where I've been impacted personally by something, and I don't know what it is or where it came from. And I've asked this feeling inside me, is it this of my light? And I ask it 3 times and it will tell me either the yes or the no or the nothing. And there have been a few times where I hear a no, and then I'm like, help me, remove this, take it away, PTO, come and remove it. And I can actually feel something physically leave me. And so if I'm lying there in bed at night in a nightmare or something, I feel like it's consuming me. Is this of my light? Is this of my light? Is this of my light? And I can hear no. And I say, please remove this, PTO, and take it back from whence it came. And I can feel it leave.
Yeah, I've been working lately with some women who have been in more domestic violence situation. And there might be hundreds of layers behind them. So, this can be repeated and repeated, because sometimes we're in a crisis where everything is up and we have to, and when you stay with it, and how many layers back. I mean, this is the place to begin, but it can be made even more powerful, but staying with it will absolutely work. Because they have it's not about who's stronger. It's not about anything other than you have the voice, you speak it, like looking into the eyes and just not letting go until it dissipates. If you come to that place where what's behind you is still pain, but it is of your light, that's when you bring your healing tools to it. But if you try your healing tools on these dark forces, on this outsider, it has no impact. But when you get to that place where this energy says, yes, I am, yes, I am, yes, I am, great, then embrace it. And that's when you can say, okay, great, finally, I'm here for you finally. And now you bring your healing tools into play.
Sharon, is there ever a way, can you use a reality statement and process for diminishing, getting rid of the parasitic nature of, let's say, groups that hate? And you could reframe that to say all of our family members in physical will experience inclusiveness, blah, 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 blah. But is there another way that's more powerful to say that no longer exists? I have a trouble with the words.
Reality statement will give you the end result, Evie, and
Yeah.
so an end result that says domination energy is extinct on this planet.
Yes, that's what I need.
Yeah, extinct on this planet. And then expect that you might be shown the very many places where it still exists, because it still has to have the reality statement's the end result. And so here is where you have to go, to say whatever shows up then is I move it out 100 layers deep, for example. Then you could start saying, hey, how many layers are there behind this? Well, there's 10,000. Okay, I want all 10,000 put into this container. I don't want to do them one layer at a time. So there's a lot of things that you can begin to do and become very effective and very fast. But the first place to start is to have the process and use it and get that muscle stretching and experience, and then be guided as your reality shift that would say, I participated powerfully in creating this world where domination is extinct, for example. Then you'll be guided how to do that.
Sharon, I've heard the story, obviously, many times, your story, the story about the parasitics many times, but the way you told it today, I hadn't heard all of before, where you used the example of the elephant. Mm. And that gave me a whole different way of addressing this, because it seems like so much in the world right now is adversarial. Everything's adversarial, everyone against this or against that. But the way you're presenting it in that is not an adversarial role. It's coming from a place of total power in our words. But when we're just saying these beings who are causing, I'm going to call them beings, but these parasitic beings, whatever, they're out of place. They don't belong here. I've always known, we've always talked about sending them back to their home of origin, but now I see it differently in that, okay, they need to go back there to be what they are or choose for something else, but not like I'm trying to destroy them. I want them out of my life and my world. And that feels so good right now because I'm so overwhelmed by just the adversarial stuff going around. So thank you. That example has really helped me after how many years I've been working with you. That really helps a lot.
Yeah. And the truth of it is, we are moving to a place where that kind of agenda will not even be allowed galactically. So, but it might be 50 years, I don't know. But eventually, those who try to hang on will die here because there won't be food, they won't be able to live. So really, it's one of the most loving things we can do is recognize that that's who they are, that's where they, and the best place for them to be is back to the home where they come from. And I have encountered some that show up and get my attention but they don't want to hurt me. It's not that they want to stop me or hurt me. They want my attention because they don't know how to get home. They've been here for so long. They don't know how to get home. So it's quite an amazing experience sometimes. And when you see, for example, there's a group that a person that I'm working with, and the partner is, the labels that mental health would give him would be narcissist. We see some out in our world that have been given that title, and he and I'm kind of the in-between moderator. So I get his emails directly so that I can work with him directly. And yesterday he sent me an email response that was like the offness, which is that takes you off into mind fuck, gaslighting, your fault, all that kind of stuff. And I didn't respond, and I just sat with it, and I said, what does that feel like? I mean, I knew what it felt like. It wasn't unusual. He does that all the time. But this time it says, I was able to disconnect him from the energy and say to the energy that I felt, I recognize your voice. I recognize your voice in this email. I recognize your energy through this email. I recognize who you are. And I'm telling you, not acceptable. PTO, take it back. And as we see things out in the world, whether it is like that divisiveness, we recognize, hey, I recognize that voice. I recognize divisiveness. I recognize discounting. I recognize blame. I know who you are. That's all I need to know. PTO, deep six it. I held that space until I felt balanced and clear. And within an hour, I got a response back from him. I've never heard him say any other time, I'm sorry. That was appropriate. So this is the work we're about right now. And so whatever shows up as entrapping to you is because you can say, I recognize that voice. I recognize that feeling. PTO, deep six it. And then reaffirm with whatever statements, and these are some that you want. Okay? So thank you for spending this time with me. Yes, Deborah.
Just a quick question. Are you going to send us these reality statements and then the process afterwards?
I will. And I don't know if I have everybody's email. I'm going to take a screenshot real quickly so that I can, if you registered, then I have your emails, and I'll be able to send it to you.
Okay,
So,
great. The process, like calling in the design team, downloading the codes, anchoring, activating it.
Yeah, and all of those tools, I'll have a link to them. Vajra Ma?
Yeah, quick question. Yeah, do these parasitic beings have any connections with physical realities such as viruses, bacteria, disease?
They're behind most of it.
All right. Thank you.
They've had full sway down here. So you can pretty much assume they're everywhere. Anything that's good, they're in there trying to co-opt. Anything that's good, they're trying to twist to use. That's just their nature. So don't doubt yourself. You cannot bring in the PTO too much. Hey, so there's only 10% over here. Okay, that's 10% gone. You see, you cannot make a mistake. It will not harm anyone unless we leave them here, and then we'll all be harmed because they're parasitic by nature. Alexandra?
I have two questions. The first of them relates to the virus. Could you shed any light on why this is coming to our planet at this point, where it's coming from, what are we supposed to learn from it? That's my first question. My second question is, how do we deal with huge groups of people supporting evil? a perfect example, of course, is Hitler. But how do we deal with that when it's just so humongous and we see our family and friends falling under this spell? What I'm just very confused right now.
Exactly what I just told you, Alexandra. If you get caught in the confusion of it, you're offline. So all you need to do is use your imagination, see it as a big group. You could make a symbol out of it and say, here's this big group, PTO, Deep Six, whatever in this group is outsider energy. And as long as you're seeing it as being swept away, you just keep doing it and you keep doing it and you keep doing it. Because that's who's manipulating them. It's not about waking them up right now. It's about you being awake enough to say, this is not a reflection of our divine agenda and our soul's nature of love. Therefore, there is taint in it. PTO, remove it, activate it. And the first question, I'm just going to say this. Any situation that comes to you has its own specific meaning to you. I would always start with turning it over to the PTO. Anything that's in it that is manipulated, that is falsely created, whatever, entrapping, absolutely go for it. What does it mean to you? You have to go to your own guides and say, or through that energy itself, what is it you have to say to me? And that's why for me, it's really, really important to have developed a secure channel with your own guides so that you can understand what it is you're hearing and what you're acting on. So that's what I would say. Ask the questions. Develop your system of communication. Ask the questions. But first to bring in PTO, whatever that is here that is not of our light, Deep Six. Okay. It looks like we have one coming in right at the tail end. I guess Deborah got the wrong message. So I thank you all for being here. Another Deborah. Hi, Deborah. Deborah Levine, we're just finishing. You probably got an hour. You were just an hour off because we're just finishing, but we have the recording. So I will get that to you, okay?
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, loves. And
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Sharon.
Yeah, and every once in a while, I'm going to, I really think I'll probably send something. We'll do something like this. What maybe does that galactic information know that might be helpful, and I'll get it out to mailing lists. Okay. Thank you very much. Love meeting all of you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Do we meet
Thank
again?
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.